Hi everybody, I'm Jim Bowley for JimBowley.com. Welcome to this video on the right hand setup for fingerstyle guitar. In this video we're going to talk about the 4 key points that I think are important when you're playing a pop style fingerstyle guitar. Now classical players probably would disagree with a couple points here, but generally speaking, if you're playing either pop, rock, folk, or country, these 4 key points are going to take you very far and help you get the best out of your right hand that you possibly can when playing fingerstyle. Also, please be aware that this video is really geared toward the beginner fingerstyle player, or maybe the person who has been doing it for a little while but maybe needs a review or is not sure if they're doing the right thing. Maybe they're not even getting a very good sound and just want a refresher. So we're going to take you through 4 key points, kind of a checklist if you will, to get you going with right hand fingerstyle success. Here we go. Alright, the first key point in your right hand setup is the way you actually hold your hand. And I always use the term for my students, a relaxed claw, as opposed to a tense claw, which would look like this. A relaxed claw is kind of like this. Your fingers are curved gently, your thumb is kind of straight, and you have no tension whatsoever in your hand. Now the way you can see if you're doing this correctly is just to simply put your hand on the back of your guitar. Your hand should sit kind of like this. Hopefully you can see this. Your hand should sit like this. Your fingers are relaxed and you're on your fingertips. Your thumb is pretty straight and your wrist is fairly straight also. A classical player might actually arch their wrist more, but we don't really need to do that for a pop style. So then when you've got your relaxed claw, you simply place it on the strings like so, with your thumb parallel with the strings, and your fingers curved and planted on the strings themselves. The second point in our 4-step approach is simply to assign your fingers to specific strings. So typically, your thumb will get strings 6, 5, and 4, and the first 3 fingers of your hand will get strings 3, 2, 1 or sometimes 4, 3, 2. The pinky is almost never used. As a matter of fact, I've never seen it used in fingerstyle at all. So again, to review, your thumb would be assigned depending on the chord you're playing. Let's say we're playing a C chord with a bass note on the 5th string, you'd assign your thumb to string 5. And then your other 3 fingers could be assigned to the next 3 strings, strings 4, 3, and 2. Or even separated out for a little bit of a higher pitch sound, strings 3, 2, and 1. So you assign your fingers, that's step number 2. Let's move on to key point number 3. Alright, key point number 3, and I think this might be the most important of all, is that if you position your thumb correctly, your fingers will follow. And this is what I mean. Most people, when they start out playing fingerstyle, they put their fingers kind of like this, where their thumb is sitting next to the index finger. The problem with that is that the thumb and the finger compete for space, and we don't really want that to happen. The other thing is that when you set up this way, your fingers look like they're almost parallel with the strings and they kind of scrape the strings. So here's what we do instead. Holding our C chord again, put your thumb on string 5, put your fingers on the next 3 strings, strings 4, 3, and 2, and let your thumb slide on the string toward the headstock just a little bit to free it up from your fingers. What you'll notice is the thumb and the first finger do not compete for space anymore. But more importantly, or just as importantly, the fingers are now turned more perpendicular to the strings. So now I'm getting more of a pluck like I would with a pick, as opposed to a scraping motion with my fingers. So again, the key point is slide your thumb ahead just a hair, and if you notice, another cue you could use is point your wrist bone at your face just a little bit. You'll get a gentle bend in the wrist going this way, and your fingers will be planted perfectly on their assigned strings. Here's key point number 4. Alright, the final key point on our checklist here is to keep your hand quiet. And what I mean by quiet is from the audience perspective, like how you're looking at me right now. You don't really see your hand moving a lot. Your fingers just casually walk through the strings. You don't want to hook the strings and pull at them or tug at them. I've seen lots and lots of fingerstyle students try to play that way, and it's kind of an ugly sound. I mean, it gets very harsh, and not only that, but it slows you way down because you're constantly trying to hook the strings. So remember, keep your fingers gently bent, but very relaxed, and just let them walk through the strings as if your fingers are walking into your palm. All right, we don't want to tug at the strings. That's the fourth point. Alright, to review the 4 key points, we have a relaxed claw with your thumb straight and your fingers gently curved. Number 2 point, assign your fingers to strings. So you would put the thumb on string 6, 5, or 4 depending on the bass note of your chord, and then your other 3 fingers on 3 adjacent strings like 4, 3, and 2, or 3, 2, and 1. The 3rd key point is to push your thumb ahead of your fingers by simply sliding it on the string to free it up so it's not competing for space with your first finger anymore, and it makes your fingers more perpendicular to the strings. And the 4th point is keep a quiet hand. Don't pull and tug at the strings, but rather just let your fingers casually walk through into your palm. Thanks so much for watching this video on right hand setup for fingerstyle success. I hope you've learned a little something and had some fun in the process. Please be sure to check me out at jimbowley.com for lots of free lessons and articles, and also check me out on Facebook at Jim Bowley Guitar Instruction. I'll see you next time.